Kyle Rittenhouse, a 17-year-old from Illinois, was a YMCA lifeguard, police explorer, and accepted into nursing school. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he received a paycheck from his lifeguard work and spent it on a rifle. Legally in America, you must be at least 18 years old to purchase a rifle, and in Wisconsin, you must be 16 to carry one in public. Kyle enlisted the help of his sister's ex-boyfriend, Dominique Black, who was 18, to purchase the gun at an Ace Hardware store. The rifle was intended for hunting and target practice with his family. Tensions in Kenosha, Wisconsin escalated after the police shootout of Jacob Blake, a black man who had been paralyzed. Kenosha alderman Kenneth Mathewson, a former private investigator, started using a Facebook page called Kenosha Guard. He was the founder. This page mobilized volunteers to protect businesses amid the riots. Kyle joined several armed volunteers at these Black Lives Matter riots. During the unrest, Kyle encountered Joseph Rosenbaum, who had just been released from a mental institution and was staying at a nearby motel. He was shouting racial slurs and appeared to be a threat. Rosenbaum chased Kyle and attempted to grab his rifle. In fear for his life, Kyle shot Rosenbaum, who died at the scene, being taken to the Kenosha County Medical Examiner's office. Anthony Huber then tripped Kyle as he was running away, and Kyle rolled over to try to get up. But then, a black man named Maurice Freeland approached him, jumped, and kicked him in the head. Kyle was dizzy at this point, and then Huber swung a skateboard, attempting to hit Kyle in the throat. Kyle blocked the skateboard of his gun and shot Huber. Huber was wounded but still alive. He was rushed to the Aurora Medical Center. Finally, Gage Groscourt, a paramedic, pointed a handgun at Kyle. Therefore, Kyle shot him in the arm. He was rushed to the Froedtert South Hospital. While Kyle was now a murder suspect, Freeland got away with kicking him. He was never charged, nor Gage Groscourt for pointing the gun. Gage survived, but Huber did not. And why was Kyle in such a panic? Why did he not just hit Joseph Rosenbaum with his rifle in the first place? Because he felt intimidated. In the back was someone else chasing him. His name was Joshua Zeminski, a white person with face tats who had a handgun on him and had been shooting in the air to threaten Kyle. Joshua Zeminski was arrested in the riot. Civil liability was pursued in several cases. Anthony Huber had his funeral at the Proco Funeral Home on September 4th that year. He was cremated. Joseph Rosenbaum, on the other hand, on the 8th. This was a private service at the home. He too was cremated. So, lawsuits that followed from this chaos. The estate of Joseph Rosenbaum, managed by his family, sued Kyle Rittenhouse for wrongful death. This is a pending lawsuit. John Huber, the father of Anthony Huber, who died, also sued Kyle Rittenhouse. This was for negligence, and this is a federal lawsuit, which is as well pending. Gage himself sued Kyle Rittenhouse also for negligence. This federal lawsuit is also pending. Anthony Huber's family sued the Kenosha Police Department for failing to keep these riots under control. This lawsuit is currently in the discovery phase and it is pending. Now, lastly, there's another lawsuit. It's Facebook, Boogaloo Boys, and Kenosha Guard being sued by Anthony Huber's family for negligence. The Boogaloo Boys is a political community which became known as an anti-government extremist group. This lawsuit, however, was dismissed with prejudice in January 2021 as it was settled outside of court. Now, this was a viral shooting during riot season. The one responsible for starting everything was Joshua Zeminski, who led the intimidation. He spent several hours at the Kenosha police station and he had been tied to so many crimes in the area, from arson to assaults to vandalism. He was booked into the Kenosha County Jail on disorderly conduct, obstruction, and felony arson. Kyle Rittenhouse, meanwhile, went back home for the hours to come. But freedom would not last forever. He became wanted nationwide, and national news was discussing him. He surrendered to the Antioch police station in Illinois. That is where he lived. And there, he was detained officially. He was afterwards booked into the Lake County Juvenile Detention Center. Kyle fighted extradition, but at the Lake County Juvie Court, Judge Paul Novak confirmed this extradition, upholding it, and ordered that Kyle Rittenhouse be transported back to Wisconsin. Therefore, he was picked up by the Kenosha County Sheriff's Office and dropped off at the Kenosha County Jail. Then, investigators reached out to Dominic Black, who had bought the gun for Kyle. He surrendered to the Kenosha County Sheriff's headquarters and was booked into the Kenosha County Jail on 2 felony firearms offenses. The defendants would make their first court appearances before Judge Paul Malloy. Joshua Zeminski pleaded not guilty to his charges and was granted a $1,000 cash-only bond, which he would shortly after go on to post and be released from jail. Dominic Black appeared before Commissioner Lauren Keaton, pleaded not guilty to his charges and being granted a $2,500 cash bond. He too would post and be released. Kyle Rittenhouse appeared before Judge Bruce Schroeder, pleaded not guilty to his charges and being granted a $2 million cash-only bond. He would stay in jail for a little while, but supporters, including Mike Lindo, the owner of My Pillow, the company, who was supporting Trump, posted the bond for him. Therefore, Kyle Rittenhouse was released from jail. Kyle's trial began on November 1st, 2021, in the Kenosha County Circuit Court, presided over by Judge Schroeder. Prosecutors Thomas Binger and James Krause argue that he acted recklessly. Defense attorneys Mark Richards and Corey Chirafisi contended self-defense. These were private defense attorneys funded by Kyle Rittenhouse's supporters. The jury of 12 members and 4 alternates heard over 30 witnesses. At one point, they were chased by news reporters of MSNBC, the news channel. Therefore, this newscast was banned from returning to the court to see this trial. On November 19, 2021, Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted on all charges, being found fully not guilty. Now it was time for Joshua Zeminski to go to trial. His bond was increased to $14,000 due to witness intimidation. However, he would post that also and be released from the Kenosha County Jail once again after that court date where he was remanded back into custody and he would continue causing trouble in the streets. In August 2022, he was arrested for armed robbery with his wife, Kelly Zeminski. Both had robbed somebody at knife point. They faced multiple more felonies and were booked into the Kenosha County Jail again. Joshua and Kelly Zeminski, however, would reach plea deals. Judge Schroeder sentenced them to 3 years. That was for Joshua, and for Kelly, 1 year, both prison terms. Joshua also pleaded guilty to arson and disorderly conduct. Judge Schroeder sentenced him to a concurrent 10 months in jail. Joshua is now at the Racine Correctional Institution. He was previously evaluated at the Dodge Correctional Institution. Kelly served her sentence at the Kenosha County Jail. The couple was represented by public defender Michael Barth, who negotiated with the prosecutors who had dealt with Kyle Rittenhouse in order to get this slap on the wrist. Now let's discuss the person who purchased the gun for Kyle Rittenhouse. He pleaded no contest to a delinquency misdemeanor. Under a plea deal, he was fined $2,000, and he was represented by public defender Amanda Petty, who also negotiated with those prosecutors. He is currently on probation after subsequent minor violations for driving off with a motorcycle as he was being pulled over. Judge Schroeder ordered that the gun Kyle used be destroyed. Thank you for listening to this episode of Strawberry Ink. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot. Till next time, take care and have a good rest of your day. Stay safe.